CGC Sports Illustrated, 50 Michael Jordan Sports Illustrated covers in 50 days. For this video, we are looking at cover number 42. So this was released on June 15th, 1998. The goofy thing about this issue is the timing of its release is that the Bulls had won the NBA championship versus the Jazz on June 13th, 2 days before this issue came out. It was the following week where SI had the shot on the cover from Game 6 of that year. You know, as media has become more and more instantaneous, you know, this was always Sports Illustrated's biggest challenge. You know, by the time the Bulls had won on June 13th, you know, this issue was already printed and being shipped to retailers. So it got me thinking that this was kind of a small peek into the challenges that SI would have in the digital age and why it's struggling today. Inside this issue, there is a list of interesting stats from the finals this year. For example, in Game 2, Dennis Rodman had more field goals than Karl Malone in the first half of these NBA finals. The Game 1 final score was Utah 88, Chicago 85 in overtime. The game went into freaking overtime, and neither team scored 90 points. Only 15 points were scored in the overtime. It was the fewest points scored in a playoff overtime since the shot clock began in 1954. But out of all those stats that are in this issue, the best one that I had forgotten about and didn't have to look too hard to find is in Game 3, the Jazz scored 54 points in the entire game. The second best team in the NBA that year, and it took them 48 minutes of basketball, and they scored a whopping 54 points. That's still an NBA Finals record. And since the shot clock started, the only other team to come close to that record was the 2010 Celtics, who scored 67 points in Game 6 of the finals that year. So just a dramatic example of how the NBA has changed so much in the last 20 or 30 years. You know, back in these days when Jordan was playing, it was a rougher game, it was much more physical, and defense was much more important. And we all know the NBA just not anywhere near that today. I'm on every social media platform. It's CGC Sports Illustrated. Like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. The next video, we'll take a look at issue number 41, and it's another interesting headline from Sports Illustrated that ties back to the Last Dance documentary. So that's cover number 41, and we'll look at that in the next video.